Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video I am going to be giving you an update on some more transfer news. Keep you up to date of what players are linked with Manchester United, and it has been confirmed that Manchester United and Ed Woodward will make contact, with a lot of players and agents in weeks to come. So, of course, Manchester United do want to make world-class signings in the summer transfer window. So, the latest player to be on Manchester United's agenda is Thomas Lemar. And, he currently plays for Atletico Madrid. Now, it has confirmed that Manchester United have met up with his representatives. Thomas Lemar has got around 3 years left on his contract. And this, actual narrative, was stemming from Julian Lawrence in ESPN. And he actually, said that Thomas Lemar will depart Atletico Madrid. Now, I think from my own perception, Thomas Lemar has, been a flop for Atletico Madrid, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. I thought at Monaco he was totally comparison, to how he's been at Atletico Madrid, because he actually, was a revelation at Monaco. And, he was a prolific goal scorer at Monaco, was Thomas Lemar. Quite a few Premier League clubs have been in for him in the past. The likes of Arsenal have been in for him in recent years. Liverpool have expressed their interest in him. And, also Thomas Lemar's versatility is very, very good. He can play on both wings. You can also play him centrally. And, of course, Manchester United are in search for a winger. Now, Thomas Lemar is the age of 24. This season, I think he's played around 24 matches in all competitions, and he has started around 11 of them. Now, obviously, Atletico Madrid did pay, was it around £52.7 million for him from Monaco? So do you think he would be the right calibre player for Manchester United? Do you think he would be the right calibre player? And possibly, we are seeing him as an adequate replacement for, possibly are seeing him, as an adequate replacement for Anthony Martial, because possibly, Anthony Martial could leave the football club. And obviously, Martial predominantly plays on the wing, even though he's been playing in that number 9 role this season. So, yeah, so Thomas Lemar is the latest player to be on Manchester United's agenda. It hasn't actually revealed how much it would cost. Maybe it would cost maybe in the 30 odd or 40 odd £1 million range. But he is actually a very, very good player, is Lemar. Obviously hasn't played in the Premier League as yet, but was a revelation during his time in France. So do you think he'd complement the likes of Rashford, James, Fernandes, and do you think he'd complement all our attacking players if he was to come to Manchester United? So, yeah, so Thomas Lemar is the latest player to be on Manchester United's agenda. Now, revert back to what I said about Anthony Martial, yeah. So, like I updated you not too long ago, there's been the reports emerging out saying that Anthony Martial, could leave Manchester United for Inter Milan. Obviously, Inter Milan have already recruited 3 of our players in. Don't forget, this year they got Ashley Young offers after he enjoyed 8.5 years at the club. Last summer they got Romelu Lukaku offers, and of course they got Sanchez on loan from us. Now, obviously, Martial's been in a good vein of form recently, to be fair. He's also sustained a lot of injuries this season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, that's had a really bad effect on Anthony Martial. But Martial has been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation in the past. He was subject to a lot of transfer speculation under Jose Mourinho, was Anthony Martial, but he still does remain at Manchester United and that. Obviously, Martial now is into his fifth season, at Manchester United. He's made over 200 appearances for the club and scored 60-odd goals for Manchester United. Of course, we paid around £36 million in from Monaco back in 2015. Potentially rising up to £56 or £57 million based on goals and achievements. And don't forget, last season, was it, he did, commit his long-term future with the club by signing a new contract. So it actually said, if Man United were to fail to qualify for the Champions League for next season, Anthony Martial could be moved on by the football club. But yeah, so revert back to what I said about Lemar. Probably Man United are seen him as a replacement for Paul Pogba. You know, if Lemar was to come in, you know, he would be reuniting with Paul Pogba because don't forget, they are both French. So I'd like to know in the comments below what your perceptions are on Thomas Lemar being linked with Manchester United and that. But, you know, I've actually, you know, been in for, you know, a few former Monaco players in the past. Don't forget, went in for Mbappe at one point. But, you know, we will see what happens. But these negotiations, I think, took place last week. But I do believe, you know, more narratives, you know, will come out on Thomas Lemar. Now, I also want to give you some news, by the way, on Jude Bellingham. I have been keeping up to date of what's been going on with Jude Bellingham on a regular basis. I've been keeping up to date. Now, reportedly, Jude Bellingham's preference is a move to Manchester United over Liverpool. Now, obviously, you know, quite a lot of clubs have expressed their interest in Jude Bellingham. Now, obviously, you know, it came out a couple of days ago from the media saying, you know, we was willing to offer Jude Bellingham around around a £100,000 a week contract to blow Borussia Dortmund out of the water. Because obviously, you know, reports came out not too long ago saying that he's allegedly accepted a deal to join Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, you know, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Arsenal, you know, a lot of clubs have expressed their interest in Jude Bellingham. But, you know, Jude Bellingham is expected to leave Birmingham City at the end of the season. Now, I think we're obsessed about the idea of signing Jude Bellingham. Now, Jude Bellingham, you know, he's going to cost us in the excess of around £30 million because this is what Birmingham City are demanding for the player. But like I mentioned, you know, I think Jude Bellingham should be given at least another season in the Championship because it's his first season in the senior squad. He is still inexperienced at the moment. He is only at the age of 16, is Jude Bellingham. Like I mentioned, I don't think he's Premier League standard as yet, and I don't think he's at the elite level. So Birmingham needs to give him another season, but I don't think he's going to get another season because I think he's going to move on and rejuvenate his career. He's expected to sign a professional contract in the summer, is Jude Bellingham. He's expected to sign a professional contract in the summer. I think this is, of course, when he does turn 17. But he's persistently been playing this season. Jude Bellingham has played around 35 or 36 games in all competitions for Birmingham. Yes, he has. And don't forget, you know, he became the youngest player to ever represent Birmingham because he made his debut at the age of 16 years and 38 days, did the player. But yeah, you know, Man United have been in for him for quite a while, Jude Bellingham. And don't forget, he would fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy perfectly because Solskjaer does want to continue the policy of recruiting young players to Manchester United. And, you know, Jude Bellingham, I think, is predominantly number 10, but you can also put him on the right-hand side. So, yeah, so his preference is to move to Man United over Liverpool and that, but it still isn't assured that Jude Bellingham will come to Manchester United in the summer and that. But up until this point, Jude Bellingham has spent the entirety of his career with Birmingham. I think he's been at Birmingham 8 years because he joined Birmingham at the age of 8. You know, he was in their youth setup for a while. But obviously now he's broken into the senior squad and he has become an integral part of Birmingham's team. But some players, you know, who do come from the Championship to the Premier League do really, really well, to be fair. You know, a prime example, it's happened with Daniel James. You know, we got him from Swansea for 15 million. And, you know, he's been a revelation. And I didn't think he'd play as many games to the extent as he has done. So it's been a surprise. He hasn't been brilliant in the last couple of months, but still a very, very good signing. And over the years, we have got a few players from the Championship. Don't forget, you know, we got Nick Powell from the Championship. I think, didn't we get him from Wigan, if I'm right? I can't remember who we got him from, but I think we did. So, yeah, anyway, revert back to what I said about Jude Bellingham. I think he'd be a great addition to the squad if he'd come in. But, you know, we shall see. So, that's the latest news on Jude Bellingham. I also want to talk with you a bit more about Romelu Lukaku. I actually, updated you about this yesterday, didn't I? Romelu Lukaku, of course, has come out and backed Ole Gunnar Solsjkaer. Obviously, Lukaku has come out and said that Ole Gunnar Solsjkaer wanted to keep him at Manchester United. This is what, Lukaku had said. But, Solskjaer basically, said last September, that he felt as though he'd made the right decision to let Romelu Lukaku go. And Lukaku basically, said anyway, he had to go because basically, he had no energy to stay at Manchester United. This is what, Lukaku had said. But, Lukaku's basically, come out and said, Man United are, making the right decisions, we're recruiting the right players in. So these are some of the stuff, that Romelu Lukaku has said and that. Obviously, Lukaku endured 2 years at Manchester United. Obviously, in that 2-year period, he'd scored 42 goals in 96 games in all competitions, and Romelu Lukaku and that. And I thought, analysing it, he enjoyed an exceptional first season with the club, but didn't really replicate that in his second season because obviously, like I mentioned, he lost his place in the team. But looking back at it now, you can maybe say, we did make a mistake by getting rid of Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, looking at it from a financial point of view, though, we did generate a lot of money for his departure because we got £70 million for him. And at the first, I didn't expect us to get that much for him. Obviously, we paid around £75 million in from Everton back in 2017 and that. But yeah, he's firing in all cylinders, since his arrival at Inter Milan and that. So yeah, he has come out and backed Ole Gunnar Solsjkaer. But, there's still a lot of our players now, that are backing Ole Gunnar Solsjkaer. Obviously, the Glazers recently come out and, said, they're backing Ole Gunnar Solsjkaer, the signings that he wants to recommend in. Obviously, the Glazers have been here since 2005. They've been here 15 years. This season, a lot of United fans have been having doubts about the club's ownership. Obviously, the same thing with Ed Woodward. He's also determined to back Solskjaer because don't forget he came out a while back and said, he's laid the foundations for long-term success with him. And Ed Woodward, of course, a lot of United fans have been criticising him this season, but also, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has received a lot of criticism this season. But, like I mentioned, Solskjaer come out and said that he thinks Manchester United need around 3 signings in the summer transfer window to become title contenders next season. So he's looking to bring around 3 or 4 signings in the summer. Is Solskjaer. Obviously, so far in 3 transfer windows, is recruited 5 players in and spent around £220 million on them. So I've got to give Solskjaer credit, for the players he has recommended in so far. But obviously, there's I think he's identified the 3 areas where he wants to strengthen up. He wants to bring a striker in, a centre forward. He wants to bring a right winger in, and he also wants to bring a central midfielder in. Does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. Obviously, I still think even if Man United do decide to make Odion Ighalo's transfer permanent, we still need to get another centre forward in. And I've got to give Odion Ighalo a lot of credit because I think he's enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Obviously, I've got to give him a lot of credit because he's enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Odion Ighalo does have 4 goals in 3 starts for the football club, and he's registered a couple of assists. But yeah, like I mentioned, Solskjaer recently made an admission saying he could decide to make Odion Ighalo's transfer permanent in the summer. And I think he's even willing to take a pay cut as Odion Ighalo to remain at Manchester United. But like I mentioned, Odion Ighalo is totally comparison to our other attacking players because he's an option of a different type of centre forward. He is a good cover-up for Marcus Rashford. And he has been a United fan since he was a boy as Odion Ighalo. He's been a Man United fan and he is highly experienced in that. So obviously, we've got him on a 6-month loan at the moment and Man United are like paying a third of his wages in that. But yeah, so I think we're gonna try and get him on a permanent transfer. But I've got to say, Odion Ighalo has confounded his critics wrong. Definitely in that. Obviously, other players Manchester United have been linked with. Obviously, I gave you the news, didn't I, yesterday regarding Solsjkaer. Now, he's another player from Atletico Madrid that Man United have expressed an interest in. Also, too, Manchester City have been long admirers of the player. Now, reportedly, his future is not being resolved as Solsjkaer. His future's not being resolved. He's failed to agree a new contract with Atletico Madrid because Atletico Madrid have been in talks over getting Solsjkaer a new contract and that. Now, obviously, Solsjkaer has got around 6 years left on his Atletico Madrid contract, so he's under contract with them till 2026. Don't forget, back in 2017, Solsjkaer had signed a 9-year contract with Atletico Madrid and that. But Atletico Madrid do know how much of an imperative player that Solsjkaer is. Because obviously they've lost a few of their, imperative players in recent years. Don't forget they lost Griezmann, they lost Diego Godin. They haven't been really the same team, since they lost them players. Don't forget they have had injuries this season, so that's made Atletico Madrid make a lot of rotation in their squad, and they've enjoyed a really, really difficult season in that. But Solsjkaer, I think, has spent the vast majority of his career with Atletico Madrid prior to one season. He's been there for several years as Solsjkaer. Now, it would cost a substantial amount. I think he's got a release clause of around 150 million euros, which equates to around 141 million in pounds sterling. So it equates to around 141 million in pounds sterling. Does his release clause? Yeah, and Solsjkaer has got, I think, around 38 goals in 284 games in all competitions for Atletico Madrid. So basically, we are seeing him as an adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. Obviously, Jack Grealish, he's another player that's still on our agenda. So yeah, there's a lot of players on our agenda in that. Obviously, I already given you the news, didn't I, regarding Paul Pogba. According to recent reports, it's looking very, very likely that Paul Pogba is going to be leaving Manchester United in the summer. But I still expect Paul Pogba to play for the football club before he does leave in the summer, of course. Now, obviously, the narratives that have been coming out of the mainstream media this week have been on Paul Pogba have been totally comparison to the ones last week. Because last week, you saw obviously, Paul Pogba coming out saying that he's interested in staying at Manchester United. It also basically said, that he was interested in extending his contract. And the main explanation for this is because he believes he can form a good partnership with Bruno Fernandes in our midfield. Of course, you had Dimitar Berbatov coming out, who's a former Man United player, and he gave his overarching view on all of this. And Dimitar Berbatov said, Man United must keep Paul Pogba. But he doubts, that they can, play together in the midfield, Pogba and Bruno Fernandes, because they do have similarity styles, and this is what, Dimitar Berbatov was basically saying. And then obviously, Solsjkaer came out after our 5-0 win against Lask, and he also said, Solsjkaer reiterated what Paul Pogba had said. He said, Paul Pogba will remain at the football club next season. So this is what it basically said. The reports have been coming out this week saying, that Paul Pogba's career at Manchester United is over. Obviously, Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, has been talking, saying, he wants to take a great footballer to Real Madrid in the summer. And Mini Raiola was explaining the good relations and that he has with Real Madrid, and revert back to last summer, Paul Pogba's preference was a move to Real Madrid. And basically, Mini Raiola said that Paul Pogba's having a complicated time at Manchester United. But, Mini Raiola's been working on getting his client a transfer away from Man United, at least in the last couple of years or so. But we're determined to sell him, because Neil Custis from The Sun, he came out earlier on this week, and The Sun isn't a reliable source, but that basically said that, we've slashed around 80 million off our asking price, and we would sell Paul Pogba now this summer for just £100 million. That figure's totally comparison to last summer, because last summer we wanted around £180 million for Paul Pogba. Now, obviously, earlier on this week, Paul Pogba's returned to training. He was training indoors with a Juventus shirt on, so you can say that fueled speculation up. But he was paying tribute to Matuidi, because don't forget, recently he was tested positive for coronavirus, was Matuidi. So let's just put that into the equation. And obviously, he had some personal coaching not too long ago with Michael Carrick. But Pogba, has been out of injury for the vast majority of this season. He's been out with injury. He's only played 8 games this season as Paul Pogba. But I do believe he'll play again before he does leave the football club. As it stands at the moment, Pogba's got 2 years left in his contract. It's a year with an option of a further year. And I think it did say, actually, Man United, will extend his contract. Will extend his contract, to stop obviously, his £100 million valuation dropping and that. But Pogba, of course, is 27 years of age, so he has still got a lot of development in him. So Madrid have been in for him. There's obviously been a lot of narratives about him going back to Juventus, because Pogba did enjoy 4 good years with Juventus, and the vast majority of his performances at Man United have been totally comparison, to his ones at Juventus and that. PSG and Barcelona have also been in for him. But since he rejoined the club from Juventus back in 2016, he has had a long-running transfer saga. I think his best spell as a Man United player is when Ole Gunnar Solsjkaer was the interim manager, because that's when we saw the best of Paul Pogba. But I do believe he's definitely on his way out of the football club. Obviously, that's the latest news on him. And yesterday, I give you the news, didn't I, on the Aubameyang. I also give you the latest news on the Harry Kane, but don't need to reiterate what I said, because, that's already been spoken about on one of my videos that I did yesterday and that. But like I mentioned, I don't expect to see incomings in the summer. I also expect Manchester United to get rid of around 5 players in the summer. And I think Solskjaer is planning, to get rid of around 5 players in the summer transfer window. And I think we're hoping to generate over like £200 million for the 5 players we want to get rid of in the summer. So the players I expect to go, like I mentioned, I expect Phil Jones to be moved on, because his appearances are now limited at Manchester United. Phil Jones is obviously, he's been a long-serving player at the club. Phil Jones is now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player, and he's enjoyed 8 years here and sustained quite a few injuries, and he's been here since the Ferguson era. But we've got a lot of centre-halves in the team. You've got Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof that are our first-choice centre-halves. Obviously, you've got Bay and Tuanzebe that have just come back from injury that are our backups, and you've obviously got Luke Shaw that can also play as a centre-half, even though he's predominantly a left-back. So he's not going to get in the team. He's not going to get in the team. He's Phil Jones. Like he updated you, it said recently Newcastle and West Ham waiting for, Phil Jones. So he's one player I expect Manchester United to get rid of this summer. I also expect Jesse Lingard to be moved on, and Andres Pereira, because they are now 2 liabilities, Andres Pereira and Jesse Lingard. Jesse Lingard has received a lot of criticism, and reflects on his status and the years he's been at Manchester United. He should be putting much more better performances out. Like I said, we've got a few players in the team that can operate in the number 10, and obviously Bruno Fernandes obviously predominantly plays in number 10. But you've got Lingard that can play in number 10, he can play on the wing. You've got Pereira that can play in number 10, I think he can play on the wing. Mata can also play in the number 10 and play on the wing and that. But actually, my preference would be Juan Mata over Jesse Lingard and Pereira in that number 10 or on the right-hand side, because I've got a lot of element of concerns about Jesse Lingard and Pereira. I think Lingard has got just under 16 months left on his contract. I think we're looking to get rid of Rojo on a permanent transfer, because don't forget he's on loan at Estudiantes at the moment, he's Rojo. I think, we're also looking to get rid of Alexis Sanchez on a permanent transfer, and, that would free up our wage bill completely if we were to get rid of him. Because when he was at Man United, we was paying him $400,000 a week. With bonuses and that, and image rights included, it was $500,000 a week. It's not that much now because he's on loan at Inter Milan, but we're still paying the vast majority of his wages, even though he's on loan at Inter Milan. And don't forget, Sanchez enjoyed difficult 18 months with Manchester United. So I think we're going to get rid of him on a permanent transfer. Obviously, Chris Smalling, it still remains unknown whether, we're going to get rid of him on a permanent transfer, because he could still possibly come back to Manchester United, could Smalling. Don't forget, he is on loan with Roma, is Chris Smalling. Obviously, there's been the likes of Arsenal, Spurs, Everton, and I think Leicester have all expressed their interest in him, so could possibly make a return to the Premier League. I think Roma, have given their overarching view on it, and Roma are keen on getting him on a permanent transfer. I think, for them to have a chance of keeping him, they've got to get qualification for the Champions League, because Smalling's done really, really well in Italy, to be fair. But obviously, Smalling was a long-serving player at Man United. He enjoyed 9 years at the football club, don't forget. Maybe he won't come back to Manchester United, I'm not too sure, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, so we'll get rid of around 5 players in the summer. Solskjaer expects more departures, but I've got to credit Solskjaer because he's got rid of a lot of the deadwood, since his arrival. He's got rid of a lot of the deadwood, so I will credit him for that. There's obviously a lot of players as well I would be determined to keep at the football club. Now, obviously we do know that obviously Nemanja Matic is staying at Manchester United, because don't forget, not too long ago we triggered the 1 year extension on his contract, and I think we did this reflecting on his good run of performances. And I've got to say, especially when McTominay was out with injury, Matic really hit the ground running. And Matic isn't our first choice midfielder, because he is a backup to the likes of Fred and McTominay. But Matic has made over 100 appearances for the club since he joined the club. He's made over 100 appearances. He's now into his third season at Man United. This is his third season, and Man United paid £40 million for him from Chelsea. And he's also received criticism in the past, but recently he has done really, really well. So give him a lot of credit. So we know he's going to be remaining at the football club, because at one point he was looking very imminent that Matic was going to be leaving Manchester United. But he is aging up, is Matic. He's now, 31 years of age. But, so we know he's staying. Now, obviously, Chong, we know that obviously he's committed his future with the club, because was it the other week he signed a new 2-year deal with the club with an option of a further year. And obviously, Chong's appearances have been limited at Manchester United, which is an element of concern. Now, obviously, he wants to get more game time, will Chong. But, he committed his future with the club, and Chong's been at Man United since 2016 when we got him from Feyenoord. I think he's made around 14 or 15 first team appearances. Obviously, Angel Gomez, I don't think his future has yet been resolved, and the main explanation why he's seldom played this season under Solsjkaer is because his future has not been resolved. Obviously, the likes of Chong, Greenwood, Williams have all had more minutes under their belt than Angel Gomez. Now, obviously, Angel Gomez up until this point has spent the entirety of his career with Man United. He's been a United player since the age of 8. I think he's been in our senior squad since 2017, because he made his debut against Palace on the final day of the 2017 season. But yeah, and I think he's played around 6 games in all competitions this season. Around 2 of them have come in the Premier League. But yeah, there's uncertainty over his future, and it said recently, Chelsea were in for him. I think Barcelona have expressed their interest, and he is only the age of 19. But I think Solskjaer's come out and said his future lies at Manchester United. So yeah, so probably, Angel Gomez will be staying. It said Man United had offered him a contract within the region of £25,000 a week and that. But I've got to say, a lot of players have improved under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's guidance, I've got to say. I've got to give Luke Shaw a lot of credit, because I think Luke Shaw has really, really improved as a Manchester United player since he come back from injury. And Luke Shaw, has sustained quite a lot of injuries as a Manchester United player. He's sustained a lot. And this is why he received criticism. Obviously, he's endured some bad spells as a Man United player, especially under Jose Mourinho. But since he's come back, he has done really, really well. I still got to say, he's one of the best English fullbacks. Luke Shaw's now into his 6th season at Manchester United. Man United, of course, paid around £30 million for him from Southampton, something like that anyway. Obviously, I've got to say, I've been very, very impressed with Lindelof. When we got him from Benfica for £30 million, he enjoyed a difficult first season. But I think last season, this season, a lot of aspects of his game have really, really improved, Victor Lindelof's, and he's done well alongside Maguire at the back. Also got to give Bailly a lot of credit, because since he's come back from injury, he's also done really, really well as Eric Bailly. My only element of concern about him, he is injury prone. But he could actually get there now ahead of Lindelof, so it could be Bailly and Maguire that are our first choice centre halves. So I've been very, very impressed with Bailly. Also, got to give Harry Maguire a lot of credit, because I've got to say, he has addressed our defensive deficiencies as Harry Maguire. Of course, Man United paid £80 million in from Leicester last summer. So he's definitely a long-term solution for Man United. I've also been very, very impressed with Wan-Bissaka, one of the best right-backs in the Premier League. His defensive contributions also been very, very good, but recently we have started to see the attacking side of Wan-Bissaka's game, which is good. I've also been very, very impressed with Fred and McTominay. They've complemented each other fantastically well in our midfield of Fred and McTominay. And like I mentioned, we did overpay for Fred, because we paid £50 million in from Shakhtar Donetsk in the summer of 2018. This is how much Man United paid. He was exceptional in Ukraine. Never really got the opportunity under Jose Mourinho, but my perceptions of comparison under, Solsjkaer, because he's given his opportunities and, he's flourishing as a Manchester United player. So I've got to give Fred a lot of credit. Like I mentioned, Matic has done well. Martial's recently done well. Rashford was good early on this season. Obviously, Rashford is out with a back injury at the moment. I think he's expected back within the next couple of weeks. But you've got to say Rashford has been a big miss. I've also been impressed with Dan James. He hasn't been so good in the last couple of months. Bruno Fernandes, he's making the difference in the team, and he's definitely the best player that Man United have recruited in since the Alex Ferguson era. And we've recruited over 30-odd players, since the Alex Ferguson era. But Bruno Fernandes is the best signing. He's enjoyed a fantastic start to his Man United career. Bruno Fernandes has three goals and 4 assists already, and definitely making the difference in the team. Don't forget, won the Premier League Player of the Month for February in that. So yeah, so a lot of players have improved under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that, and obviously I think we've got the youngest squad in the Premier League this season. That's something else I do want to confirm with you. But we are in a good reign of form now, unbeaten in our last 11 games in all competitions, and hopefully the season will resume. Well, I think it is. Well, it is going to resume because it's been extended indefinitely. Of course, Premier League have suspended it until the April the 30th. So let's just put that into the equation. You already know that anyway. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.